Foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, June 13th, 2019. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. We've got a lot to talk about today here. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. That's 800-313-9443. Sam is in our control room, ready to answer the phone, put you on the air with your comments, questions, and opinions. So let's get right on into it. There has been another attack on tankers in the Middle East here, and it's apparently one of them sank, and they're saying the tankers were hit with torpedoes, which implies that somebody was out there either with a torpedo boat or a submarine. And apparently this was a lot more spectacular than the 4 tankers that got hit a couple of weeks ago. And apparently the report that one of the tankers had sunk turned out to be inaccurate. If it had gone down, it would have unleashed an oil spill twice the size of the Exxon Valdez, which was a huge, huge mess. So apparently both of these tankers are still afloat. The crews have been rescued by U.S. and Iranian forces. And what's interesting is that one of the tankers was owned by Japan. And there were 23 crew members on both tankers. They had to abandon their ships, and Iran and the USA, they've evacuated the crew. And obviously this is increasing tensions here. Now, Iran is saying they had no connection with the incident, but of course the U.S. government is saying, oh, it had to be Iran. Had to be Iran. Who else could it be? Who else could it be? You know, shooting at tankers in the Middle East. It has to be Iran. Yeah, sure. I mean, Japan and Iran are moving closer together. Abe just went out to visit with them. Why would Iran sink a Japanese tanker or try to sink a Japanese tanker? It doesn't make any sense. So the Japanese-owned Kokuka Courageous was one of the tankers that was attacked in the Gulf of Oman. And again, it's one of the world's busiest oil routes. But the U.S. is out there saying it's highly likely Iran was behind the torpedo attack in the Gulf of Oman. And the tanker industry chief is warning the oil supply to the entire Western world could be at risk if the streets are deemed unsafe. Well, this is clearly a false flag. And nobody's buying the fact, the claim that Iran had anything to do with this. In fact, they're calling it Gulf of Tonkin 2.0. And Bloomberg's Julian Lee is out there saying, you know, Iran's going to get the blame even if they had nothing to do with it and suffer the fallout. This is clearly a false flag to be blamed on Iran. And the Iranian foreign minister is out there saying suspicious doesn't begin to describe the attack on the Japanese tanker. And most of the public isn't buying this, that Iran had anything to do with it. And again, we've seen so many of these. Japan was getting too close to Iran, and all of a sudden their ships are going boom. Japan was not acting as a lapdog for the U.S., nor were they sent to negotiate with Iran. It was Japan who invited Iran to meet with them before Trump came to Japan. Trump's visit had also been established well in advance to coincide with the crowning of the new Japanese emperor. This is clearly a false flag. So, who's floating around that part of the world with submarines and torpedoes? And I would think that that would tend to be Iran. I'm sorry, Israel. I'm looking at Fox News, and they're out there selling this idea. U.S. blames Iran for attack on 2 oil tankers in the Middle East. Why would Iran do something like that? They don't really have a motive. It doesn't get them anything. So, Saudi Arabia has released video footage of the Houthi missile attack on the airport terminal. A lot of violence going on there in the Middle East. All right, we're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. It just doesn't make any sense. What does Iran get by attacking oil tankers, especially of a friendly nation like Japan? It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So yeah, it's another false flag attack. There's no question about it in my mind. And I know there's a lot of people out there on the independent media who are saying Iran, 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 Iran. No, I'm not buying it. Not 1 minute am I buying that Iran had anything to do with this. It's another classic false flag attack to try and gin up a reason to go to war. All right. So apparently over in Yemen, there was a Houthi missile attack, cruise missile attack on a civilian airport terminal in the southern part of the kingdom. It also has a military component at the airport. And here's where it gets interesting. They're saying that Iran ordered the Houthis to carry out this missile attack. Well, how would they know that? How would they know that Iran had anything to do with this? That Iran ordered it? It's just more of the propaganda trying to build toward a war with Iran here. And obviously it's escalating. So apparently the Ansar Allah movement launched a cruise missile at Abha International Airport in southern Saudi Arabia. The missile had successfully hit the airport, which has a large military component. Brigadier General Yara Sari, a spokesman for the pro-Ansar Allah, part of the Yemeni armed forces, said the advanced U.S. air defense systems deployed inside the airport were not able to intercept the missile. The Saudis said the missile hit the arrival hall in the airport, injuring 26 civilians, including 3 women and 2 children. Most of the injured were treated on the spot. 8 had to be transported to a nearby hospital. So it's getting ugly over there here. Okay, up in Great Britain, the SAS and other British special forces, pardon me, are poised to receive a new mission to counter Russia and other forces around the world. The plan is called the Special Operations Concept and has been drawn up by the senior officer in charge of the Special Forces, the Director of Special Forces. And according to people familiar with what's in it, part of the concept involves changing both the structure of the military secretive units and what they do. So they're all gearing up here. We're going to have a war with Russia. Ooh, isn't that going to be a lot of fun? I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay, over at the Pentagon's current military posture based on post-Cold War dominance will not work against the new Russian and Chinese strategies and must be updated, or the U.S. risks losing a war against either power, which is something I've been saying here for quite a long time. Over at the Center for New American Security, which is a think tank, this report came out, authored by Chris Doherty, saying that it's possible for the first time in decades to imagine the United States fighting and possibly losing a large-scale war with a great power. And like I said, we've been talking about that for quite some time. So they're out there saying, give us more money. We need more money. We need to buy more weapons here, you know. And we're sorry we can't build more schools, and we can't fix the hospitals, and we can't fix the roads, can't fix the bridges or the rail system. But by golly, there's a war on. We have to be ready for war against Russia and China. And that means that you must make do with a lot less so that we can be ready for a lot more war here. And they're saying in this report, while the U.S. remains stuck in the implicit and explicit mental framework for military strategy and operations that emerged during the 1991 Gulf War, China and Russia have been devising new strategies and weapons to defeat the U.S. in war, should that become necessary. That's absolutely true. The United States has been wasting vast sums of money rebuilding the weapons that they fought the last war with. And at least they're beginning to realize that. The problem is they've already bankrupted this country, spending money on all these wars. We don't have the money. We don't have the money, we don't have the manpower, we don't have the manufacturing, we certainly don't have the moral authority to go up against Russia and China. And it is just stupid anyway. Now the IDF is out there warning that if there is a new war between Israel and Hezbollah, Lebanon will pay a heavy price. Now, Israel and Hezbollah have not engaged in a war since the 34-day devastating war in the summer of 2006. But a fresh conflict is possible. Israel still wants that Litani River. And Major General Amir Baram, the head of the Israeli Defense Forces Northern Command, has warned that Lebanon would pay a heavy price in case of a new armed conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. So he's out there talking tough. We will continue to act to thwart Hezbollah's efforts to threaten our security, covertly and overtly as required, and if war is imposed on us, we'll exact a heavy price from the organization and those who give it backing wherever necessary. So Israel's trying to set the stage for a new war with Lebanon and say it's Lebanon's fault. They made us do it, Mommy. They made us go to war. Okay. Another article, this one's coming out of Zero Hedge, talking about China and Hong Kong refusing to bend the knee, which is a phrase that was recently popularized by Game of Thrones. And it starts out by quoting Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War. It says, when you engage in actual fighting, if victory is long in coming, then men's weapons will grow dull and their ardor will be damped. If you lay siege to a town, you will exhaust your strength. And it's basically saying this is the U.S. approach, which is why it's doomed to fail. But if you look at the situation here, it's not like the United States could invade the Chinese mainland. We don't have the manpower, certainly compared to the Chinese. We don't have the ships to get over there. So, anyway. All right, the United States and more than 24 other countries are asking all nations to immediately halt fuel shipments to North Korea. And this is a report submitted to the United Nations Security Council Sanctions Committee on North Korea, accuses Pyongyang of violating a UN-set cap on fuel imports by conducting dozens of ship-to-ship transfers at sea, which break international sanctions. The details in the report were described to CNN and others by a UN Security Council diplomat with knowledge of the findings. So the U.S. is still trying to basically starve North Korea. And the U.S. complaint about North Korea smuggling comes a day after Donald Trump said he got another beautiful letter from Kim Jong-un. And the White House is interested in a third summit with North Korea to see what's going to happen there. Okay, getting on over to the F-35, more problems with it. Apparently, the way the F-35 is designed, it puts it at risk of losing both of its hydraulic brake lines when a tire blows on landing. Now, the issue has been corrected in the F-35C carrier version, but the A and B models may not ever get a full fix. Now, the issue came to light in documents obtained by Defense News, in which the problem is described as Category 1 deficiency by the U.S. Defense Department, the designation given to serious technical problems that affect safety, mission effectiveness, or some other requirement. That plane is a joke. All the money they have put into developing that thing, $1 trillion, and look at all the problems it has got. And what's amazing is how the U.S. has persuaded so many other countries to buy this plane at a huge, huge cost. And it's not an effective fighter. It's not an effective warplane. Looks really good sitting there on the carrier deck or on the runway. But it's not an effective warplane here. All right, getting into our domestic politics here. The Department of Justice is now investigating the CIA for their role in Russiagate and looking into the CIA's involvement in the origins of the Russiagate hoax. This is coming from the New York Times, citing anonymous sources briefed on the matter. So it's not just the FBI that was involved in this fraud, in this hoax. It's CIA as well. Trump needs to clean these organizations out, needs to clean these agencies out, needs to clean out all of the top-level people. And hopefully there's some lower-down people who remember what the FBI and the CIA are supposed to be doing. And when they get promoted to the upper levels, they'll restore the agency's effectiveness as investigative agencies, as counterintelligence. But we're living in a country right now where these intelligence agencies, FBI and CIA, seem to feel they're in charge. That they just have this right to dictate national policy on their own. And they're not, because they're not elected. They're absolutely not elected. Okay, over at the Democratic National Committee, they're in serious financial distress. It may have an impact on next year's elections, according to Bloomberg. And apparently in the first 4 months of this year, the party has outspent its contributions, basically going into debt to the amount of $3 million because donor enthusiasm has dried up. People are not donating to the Democratic National Committee. Maybe they think that the Clintons are going to pitch on in from that foundation they've got here. All right, we got to take a break here for commercials. We'll be back after these few words. Stay tuned.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers in New York.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And once again, RBN needs your support. We don't have a huge amount of money. We don't have corporate sponsors. We don't have government grants to keep us on the air. And if you can help out, we need your help. And there's no such thing as too small a donation. Every little tiny bit helps. So if you can help, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation or pledge to be a recurring subscriber is 800-724-2719, extension 1 during business hours, extension 3 at all other times. The network thanks you. All right, we're going to take a phone call now from Tony in Puerto Rico. Aloha, Tony. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I'll be sending a check very soon. Listen, Mike, I have a quick comment. I don't see the difference between what the Democrats are doing with the illegal immigrants, although they are illegal, and what William Boss Tweed did with the Irish, because everything is about power and politics and who votes.
Yes.
So, I don't see the difference.
Well, the difference is the illegal immigrants are always going to vote Democrat because the Democrats are promising them all kinds of free stuff.
Yeah, but, under William Boss Tweed, the Irish, they ended up with a president of the United States. They're trying to help the illegal immigrants, these Democrats. And who knows, maybe one of those, their descendant could be a president also someday.
It's entirely possible. If they're born here in the United States, they can run for office.
That's what I'm trying to, that's what I mean, Mike. Okay, thanks, Mike.
All right. Yeah, that's a reality. The child of illegal immigrants born in this country would qualify as a natural-born citizen, could actually run for president of the United States of America and get voted into office and basically take this country and give it to the illegal immigrants. Something we need to keep in mind here. Okay, getting on over to Beto O'Rourke's campaign. As you know, these Democratic presidential candidates, they're out there on the campaign trail already. They're making all kinds of speeches. And Beto O'Rourke has announced his new plan on LGBT issues. And he's out there saying that if he becomes president, he will force schools to allow male athletes who identify as transgender girls to compete on the female sports teams. And he's basically calling it the LGBTQ plus equality, and that would amend the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to make sexual orientation and gender identity protected characteristics under federal anti-discrimination law. And that would force public schools to expand female athletic teams to include biological males who identify as transgender girls. Now, I think this is going to cost them a lot of votes because polls are showing that the American people are not buying into this nonsense. They don't think that biological males should be competing against biological females because they have a natural advantage. They have the extra bone density, they have the extra muscle mass, and just saying that they're a girl doesn't make them a girl. They're still biological males. They've grown up with all of that extra testosterone. And every time a biological male is allowed to compete against biological females, inevitably they win because they have an unfair advantage. And that's why there is a division between men's and women's sports. And polls are showing that the American people, by and large, think this is very much unfair, and that men should compete against men and women should compete against women to try and keep things fair. And I'm in agreement with that. I think this whole gender nonsense has just gone way, way too far. If you'll remember that story we had yesterday of that lesbian couple that literally tried to make their son into a woman by simply slicing off his penis without medical supervision, and ultimately the kid died. All right, we got to take another break here for commercials, and we'll be right back after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're talking about our politicians who are out on the campaign trail. Bernie Sanders is out there pushing his socialist agenda. And he's basically acknowledging that socialism is going to increase taxes. And he came out with this comment on a CNN interview with Anderson Cooper saying that Americans would be delighted to pay more taxes. No, Bernie, we're not. We're already taxed way too much as it is. And Sanders is out there saying that he thinks that people will pay more taxes for a comprehensive health care plan. And he's trying to use Canada as the example. But we're already taxed way too much, and most of it, of course, goes for the war machine. All right, we're going to take a phone call from Sebastian in Sweden. Aloha, Sebastian. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, I would like to tell you about the situation in Sweden now. It's a lot more violence here because of the immigrants.
Yeah.
And they're attacking the small cities as well, that people can't go out at night in a city of 10,000 people into the Central Park. Because it seems like the government in Sweden live in puts the foreigners not from the large cities like Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Malmö, because they know they have a situation there. So they put them out in the small cities around this, right where I live, actually, not too far. I live between two small cities. And in one of the cities, about 5,000 people, there are 600 immigrants that don't have any, that are male, that don't, that came as children, under 18, which they aren't, because most of them are, they found out that 8 of 10 are over 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It said they were under 18. And it's a bad situation. It's getting worse.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It's not only in Sweden. I think it's all over Europe. And Europeans are finally waking up eventually. But, it's going to take some time, but they'll wake up.
Well, I think
I have a friend in Stockholm. Yeah?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I have a friend in Stockholm, an Englishman, that says that, we just have to get a little guy with a mustache, with his hair parted on the right to get rid of the situation. That's extreme, but you know what I mean? But I mean, it's getting to that, it is getting like that. It's really bad, and it's not getting. And my ex, that's what do you call it? The Green Party, and her office was put on the foreign section, a little on the outskirts of Stockholm, and she was really liberal and everything. And she came to me and she said, "Oh, I hate working there. I don't want to see these people wearing these, björka, the headscarf and everything." And she's like a minority. She's a minority where she's working. And she's not Swedish, but she's Finnish, right? But still, Scandinavian. But she's a minority. And eventually, unless you people find out what's going on, I mean, most of the people, the liberals, they live in these ritzy sections, and they never see this.
Well,
like in America.
I think the recent European elections have indicated that the people of Europe have awakened to the reality of what all this open borders are doing. We saw the populist nationalist parties win sweeping victories all across Europe. But the problem is, even if the people of Europe take back control of their own government and go back to close the borders, it's going to be a huge problem dealing with the immigrants who've already come on in and who are simply refusing to assimilate, who are basically seeing the Europeans as just people to be preyed on and victimized. Again, there's going to be a major enforcement problem.
Yeah, I know. And Sweden is one of the only countries in Europe, as far as I know, that are taking back the ISIS soldiers that have fought against Assad in Syria. And they're going to give them, as soon as they come back, rehabilitation and welfare directly, apartment and everything, where normal Swedes have to wait for that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
if you have a Swedish citizenship and you fought in Syria against Assad, then it's okay to come back. Oh, yeah, that's good. It's really bad. I don't know.
It is a mess here. I mean,
Well, thank you, Mike.
all right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call here. And yeah, it seems both in Europe and here in the United States of America, these foreigners are getting better treatment than the legal citizens are getting. And you have to wonder what the heck is going on here. All right, we're going to switch over here to Jim in Illinois. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, Michael, a couple of things. This incident regarding the tankers today in the Middle East, it sort of reminds me of what happened right before the Second World War with Japan, where we were blockading and going after their tankers that were going to Indonesia to get oil. Do you recall that?
Yes, I remember that.
Right, and that's what started the Second World War. And I said, it seems like history is repeating itself, and hopefully not, though. The other thing, what do you think, or why do you think Donald Trump made those comments regarding him taking information from a foreign country, including our enemies, regarding a candidate that he might be running against?
Well, I want to go back and first of all talk about the tanker issue.
Okay.
Because you're absolutely right. This is clearly a run-up to a new war, this one with Iran. And I'm not surprised that so many people are calling this the Gulf of Tonkin 2.0, because it clearly is, if not a case of mistaken identity, it's a false flag. And again, Iran had no reason to do this, and I don't think they did it. And I know a lot of other people, both in the corporate media and even the independent media, I'm getting emails from people saying that Alex Jones is out there saying, oh yes, Iran did this, we've got to go to war against Iran. And I'm sorry, I disagree with Alex Jones on this. It just doesn't make any sense that Iran would do this. Somebody else, either the United States or Israel, probably launched those torpedoes in order to frame Iran to try and justify military escalation. Now, as far as, I'm sorry, what was your second talking point?
Regarding Donald Trump's comments yesterday when he was being interviewed, he stated that he wouldn't mind taking information from a foreign country, even our enemies, regarding a candidate that might run against them in 2020.
I think that was a very stupid thing for him to say because of everything that came out of Russiagate. Even though that's been proved to be a hoax, I think it's grist for the Democrats to say that Trump is coordinating with our enemies regarding the upcoming elections, and I think it was a bad move for him to make.
Right. Even Lindsey Graham stated the same thing. He said, why did he make that statement? They don't understand it. But again, Donald Trump cannot help himself.
It was a bad move. I absolutely agree with Lindsey Graham on this one. It was a bad move for Trump to make.
Right. And you're right, though. The Democrats are going to say, well, this tells us he did something bad in 2016, and he doesn't mind doing it again.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to say.
Right. Well, Michael, you take care.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to James in Canada. Aloha, James. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, how you doing? I called you last week about 2 Canadians detained.
Yes.
And I learned now there's a third one. Only this guy, they convicted him in 2014 for selling methamphetamine. He got a 15-year sentence, and then after the Huawei deal, he's now been promoted to the death sentence. So maybe people would like to know that.
Well, you know, the Chinese are very strict about illicit drugs.
So I understand that, but he was already convicted and given 15 years. And then after this incident in Vancouver, it's been promoted to the death sentence. So I just thought I'd pass that along.
Well, okay. You know, don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
Say, by the way, you were gone 2 days and now you're back, and there's 2 tankers on fire and sinking in the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, I had nothing to do with that.
No, I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying that these things, once they start rocking, they're pretty hard to stop.
Well, again, the report that one of the tankers had sunk turned out to be premature, and it's still afloat. And looking at the pictures of the tankers, I think they were on their way in to pick up cargo because they were riding very high on the Plimsoll lines. So, yeah, I think they were pretty much empty.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. One of the tankers is reported to be from Taiwan. Is that correct?
One of them is Norwegian and the other is Japanese.
Yeah, one I understood from the news. One was rented by Taiwan, by China Petroleum out of Taiwan.
Okay.
But, all right. Well, thanks for taking my call.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
You know, I heard it was a Japanese tanker and a Norwegian tanker, which, like, Abe is in Iran.
Yes.
Meeting with the. Why would Iran attack a Japanese oil tanker with the Japanese prime minister in Iran talking to? They wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't.
This was clearly Mike, this is the second incident now. The first one was from the so-called, what they tell us, limpet mines, because they can tell us anything they want because we can't swim out there to look for ourselves. So you can have a fire on a oil tanker and say it's this or that, it's torpedoes, but until you see it for yourself and you're there, we don't know anything. It's just we're getting this crap from our government and our 17 intelligence agencies, just like our 17 intelligence agencies told us Saddam had weapons of mass destruction.
Yes.
So take all this stuff with a grain of salt. We don't know if there was maybe a planted bomb on the side of there. I mean, none of the ships have sunk. Now, if these were really good torpedoes, I think they would have been sunk. And I would have used more than one on each ship. you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and isn't the U.S. Navy in the vicinity? Can't they track maybe not the Israeli German-made Dolphin sub, but I think they would know who has a submarine in those areas and who don't. But this is a second incident. You notice it's going to be getting progressively worse every couple weeks or month. This is the third. This will be the next time. Will be the third incident of the Iranians attacking the flow of oil in the Gulf. In the vicinity where oil's got to flow through, and we need to do something now. That's what it's coming to. I just don't see. Like I said, we're getting information fed to us, so they can be pulling false. I mean, how do we know even the CIA doesn't have a submarine? They have everything else, it seems. So I don't like where this is going, and I noticed, did Trump even come out saying anything about this yet? Because he loves the tweet, but has he even said anything?
Well, I haven't really checked in with Twitter yet, but again, what we're getting from U.S. officials is that Iran is behind all of this, and of course, I'm not believing a word of it, and okay.
It's a setup.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a false flag, and you're right. They're going to keep on doing this until they actually do sink a tanker, and they do cause an oil disaster, and they're going to blame Iran for it, and say, well, it's time to start attacking Iran.
Like I said, I want just if you can double check to see if that was a Japanese oil tanker or not, but the fact that they wouldn't do this. Like, first of all, like if you're going to attack ships like the first time with the so-called limpet mines, then you would have sunk the ships, not this hit and miss stuff. There's no purpose, and there's no strategic purpose in doing it one time, and nobody did anything about it the first time, and then now the second time. And it seems like nobody's going to do anything a second time. Even one of the ship captains says, like, we don't know what caused this explosion yet. So I know Saudi Arabia already came out blaming Iran. But I don't know if Israel did already. But it's not going to end well, Mike, because this is the projection of where we're headed by these people.
Yeah.
And on the last call, was that Jim from Illinois?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about like the oil tanker, and we just don't know. But don't believe anything your government tells you, because they get their information. Not only are they liars, but they're getting information from liars. So I mean, this can't. I mean, can it get any worse? Like of what's happening?
Well, it can get worse. They can actually sink a ship and start the war with Iran here. Anyway, Dustin, I'm going to put you on hold. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Dustin in New Jersey, and we're talking about this very obvious false flag attack on these oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman, which is being blamed on Iran. But again, what would be Iran's motive to do something like this? And the answer is they don't have a reason, especially the Japanese tanker. They're moving closer to Japan. So, Dustin?
Yeah, but the thing is, Mike, like now it's the second incident. Like there's no reason for them to do anything more. You know what I mean? There's just no strategic reason for them to do anything like this.
No.
Because there's nothing to gain, everything to lose.
Yep.
You know, the only people who would do this are the people who would gain from a war. Elements of your own government, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the UK too, Mike, because the UK is on the United States so-called side.
Yes.
You know, like with Boris Johnson, you know, that group of people. You know, so I don't see them being like speaking against any attack on Iran. And Mike, by the way, I was watching the Duran. There's a great YouTube with the Duran talking about this incident, and they said the window is closing because of Trump's re-election in 2020. So, I mean, if the war's going to start, it's going to start because it's not going to start before Trump starts, you know, running for re-election, because I don't think a war would help Trump at $250 a barrel per oil.
No,
that wouldn't hurt. That would hurt. You know,
it wouldn't. They're going to have to get it going in the next couple of months here.
And I don't know if you heard the news. Sarah Sanders is stepping down.
Yeah, I heard. I just got that on the phone here.
Yeah, so there's people leaving. I don't know. It's like I said, I gave up on Trump a long time ago. And Mike, I want people to remember this. He put people in around him who are all liars. Gina Haspel, Mike Pompeo, and John Bolton. There's nobody else there around him, you know, to say, hey, wait a minute, besides some people in the Pentagon, but who's left there except like Dunford? There's nobody there. Like that's why it's a dangerous situation. There's no people with like brains, you know. It's sad. There's just nobody with like some kind of
There's no voice of reason,
and no truthful and moral people there around him, you know. So that's why it's a very dangerous situation, and stuff is escalating. And you know, Trump's going to give more F-35s to Poland. He's telling Germany, you know, don't buy Russian natural gas. I mean, I don't know where this is headed. But all right, Mike, have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go here. And getting on back to our domestic politics, apparently on ABC's The View yesterday, the hosts were going after Joe Biden's health related to the 2020 presidential election. And probably this is a fallout from concerns about Hillary Clinton's health in 2016, where now discussing the health of the candidates is considered fair game. Anyway, there's the music. Time for us to take a break for station identification. We'll be back with hour number 2 after these few words.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendovite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat, very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Well, the government, once again, has proven they cannot manage money very well. The federal budget deficit has hit $739 billion with a B in the first 8 months of the fiscal year. That's $750 billion they're spending that they don't really have, but they just figure they'll figure out some way to get it from you here. And federal spending has soared past $3 trillion in total. The deficit is completely out of control. And most of it, of course, is going on the wars. We're in a wartime economy. All the money is going for bombs, bullets, and bandages. And there's no money left over to fix the roads, the bridges, the rails. And that's basically where we are. Okay, now comedian Joe Brand decided to joke about the recent milkshaking of politicians and said that instead of milkshakes, they should be doused with battery acid. And I'm sorry, that's the shark right there. It's bad enough that they're being milkshaked. And again, even the milkshaking is an indicator of how we've lost our ability to have a civil discussion about issues. It's yes, a milkshake is relatively harmless. They get the suit dry cleaned and everything is fine. But it's still very passive aggressive. But to talk about dousing them with battery acid, that's definitely way out there. Okay, Representative Norma Torres, Democrat from California, suggested during a speech on the floor of the House of Representatives yesterday that Republican men who oppose abortion do so because they are sex-starved males. Now, I don't know how she gets from opposed to abortion to sex-starved males, and maybe there really isn't a link. But as I mentioned yesterday, we seem to have emerged into an era of the soundbite. If it sounds good, get it out there. First of all, knowing what I know about the Congress, it's hard to imagine anybody who's in the Congress who is sex-starved. But it's hard to understand why anybody who would be sex-starved would be opposed to abortion. But I mean, that's the new talking point here. Over in Illinois, their governor has signed the most permissive abortion law in the nation. It legalizes abortion up to the moment of birth. And the governor basically said that he signed this bill to protect abortion from the whims of an increasingly conservative Supreme Court. Now, obviously, I have an issue with this. And it sounds to me like they want to legalize abortion so that women who are pregnant can literally change their mind up to the moment of birth and say, I've changed my mind, I don't want to have a kid. And just dispose of the baby. And I do have a real issue with that, because I'm one of those who thinks that, yes, at some point during the 9-month gestation period, it does become a human being. And it can feel pain. And especially when you're talking at the moment of birth, you're talking about a baby that in theory can survive outside the womb. It's a human being. And it does have a right to live. Now, I understand and I concede there are times when abortion is needed, such as if an ultrasound shows the baby is severely deformed, or if it's been a case of rape or incest or some other reason. I do have a problem with abortion being used as retroactive birth control by women who don't want to use birth control because they don't want to be seen as that kind of woman. And then they go on out, they have a few drinks, and they get pregnant. And they just say, well, I'll just get an abortion here. Now, there is that morning after pill. I don't have a problem with that one. But this idea that a woman can just change her mind about being pregnant up to the moment of birth, I have a real problem with that. I do have a real problem with that. And I have a problem with this agenda from the Democrats that, you know, abortion should just be available on demand at any and all times. It's like they don't really have a respect for any people. Maybe they're afraid that all of these aborted babies are going to vote Republican. I'm not exactly sure why. All right, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network. Okay, over at Google, they're spending about $20 million annually for lobbying. And apparently Google has been changing its roster of lobbying firms. They've fired 6 of its largest lobbying firms. They're trying to overhaul their global government affairs and policy operations. And this is coming from the Wall Street Journal. And over the last few months, Google has changed its roster of lobbying firms as well as its Washington policy team and lost 2 senior officials who helped build its influence operation into one of the largest in the nation's capital. And obviously, as Google and Facebook and Twitter come under increased scrutiny for censoring conservatives, they're going to mount a new lobbying operation to be allowed to go on censoring conservative content. Now, Joanne Lipman is out there with a new article saying that the tech overlords Google and Facebook have used their monopoly to rob journalism of its revenue. And we were talking about that yesterday, about how much money that Facebook and Google are making by basically snarfing content from other corporate media. And of course, it's the same deceptive content, but they're out there using it to make money. Over at MSNBC, there's a bit of a shakeup going on. Andy Lack is upset over their ratings decline. CNN has lost a third of its primetime audience. And Jim Cramer's Street sold for just $16 million. So the corporate media is in serious, serious trouble. And they did it to themselves. They did it to themselves by lying to the American people. And we here in the independent media called them out on the lies, pointed out the lies. We're doing the job the media was supposed to be doing. Watchdog on government misbehavior. That's why the Founding Fathers created that First Amendment for freedom of the press, so that the press could report on what the government was doing, honestly, objectively. But our corporate media has been co-opted. They've become the Ministry of Propaganda for the U.S. government. They're out there telling you Saddam had nuclear weapons, Assad was gassing his own people, Iran is to blame for those torpedoed tankers in the Gulf of Oman. And it's lie after lie after lie after lie. And the American people are now aware of that. They're not watching CNN anymore. They're not watching MSNBC. And yeah, they're in trouble because it can take decades to cultivate the public trust. And just a few clumsy lies, it's gone. And that's what's happened here. And as I said before, they did it to themselves, and I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. I remember when Trump won in 2016, and the first thing I said was, we're going to start seeing some changes. We're going to see the corporate media come back from being hardcore liberal, hardcore Democrat. It didn't happen. They just went right on lying more and more. And none of the people who were lying ever lost their jobs. The ones who told us Saddam had nuclear weapons, they still have their high-paying jobs. The ones who told us Assad was gassing his own people, they still have their high-paying jobs. The ones who lied to us for more than 2 years about Trump-Russia collusion, they still have their high-paying jobs. And that's all you really need to know about what's going on in the corporate media. Okay, now Huawei has come up with a new strategy for fighting back against the U.S. And it's starting to basically go through its massive suite of technology patents to try and force American competitors to fork over billions of dollars. Their first target is Verizon, one of its biggest American competitors in the race to become a global leader in 5G. And Reuters is reporting Huawei has told Verizon it should pay licensing fees amounting to more than $1 billion for the more than 230 patents held by Huawei. And this plan has been percolating ever since the White House blacklisted Huawei. And Verizon should pay to solve the patent licensing issue. So this is escalating that little trade war. Okay. Tesla, it's amazing. Looking at Elon Musk, he's done so well with SpaceX, and he's just botched Tesla. And he's out there basically trying to claim that Tesla is still going to be a moneymaker, that they're going to hit all of these delivery goals. He's basically out there trying to drive the stock price higher. In fact, WAGs are saying he seems more interested in the stock price than in actually producing a usable, sellable car. And it may just be that Tesla is not going to be around much longer, in which case the Teslas that are out there are going to be collector's items like the DeLorean. Maybe they'll use a Tesla in the updated version of Back to the Future. And it is a shame, because I do think electric cars are the way of the future once we come up with a way to cleanly generate electricity. Because driving a Tesla is not clean power, because that electricity, for the most part, is still coming from coal and oil-fired power plants. But they are nice cars. I've not driven in one. I've seen them. There are a few of them here on the island. And I understand there's been some new breakthroughs in the battery technology, which is going to bring the price down here. Okay, Trump is considering slapping yet more sanctions on Russia's Nord Stream 2 natural gas pipeline project, insisting that the U.S. is a much better alternative for Europe. And he's out there saying that he's got to protect Germany from Russia. Well, this is all about market share. Trump wants to sell America's natural gas to Europe and wants to block Russia from selling natural gas to Europe. That's really what this is all about. And so Trump is out there saying that he's looking at what he calls the pipeline problem, and they want to find some way to stop that. Now, the U.S. is not a better alternative for Europe, because the only way we can get natural gas to Europe is liquefied natural gas in container ships. And that makes the cost of delivery a little more expensive. Pipelines, once they're built, they're a lot less expensive. So it's all about, again, it's market share. That's all it's about. All this argument about Nord Stream 2 is about preventing Russia from having access to the European market. That's all that it's really about. Okay, looking at immigration here. There's this German boat captain. He's looking at 20 years in prison for saving the refugees. And he's out there saying sea rescues have been criminalized. And he's out there saying his defense is, we've only followed international law, especially the law of the sea, where the highest priority is to save people from distress. Well, maybe, maybe not, because one of the ways that they're bringing these refugees to Europe is the refugees will sail out into the Mediterranean and claim to be in trouble. They get picked up by these ships and taken to Europe. They're not taken back to where they came from. They're taken to Europe. And it's been a bit of a scam. So I think somebody's finally trying to do something about this. Okay, over in Great Britain, Britain's Home Secretary Sajid Javid has signed and certified the extradition order for Julian Assange to go to the United States, where he's accused of violating the Espionage Act. And so Julian Assange is going to be on his way to the United States. And the only good news is, because of the treaty between Great Britain and the United States cannot add any additional charges to Julian Assange. What was there in the extradition order, that's it. But it's still an 18-count indictment, mostly for violations of the Espionage Act. If he gets a really good lawyer, I think he's going to be able to dodge most of the Title 18 violations, because he did not solicit the leaking of this information. It was voluntarily given to him by Chelsea Manning. The one that they're probably going to get him on, of course, is the conspiracy to attempt to hack into a government computer. which failed, didn't actually get on in, so the courts may not see that as all that serious, but they're going to make an example out of him. And George Galloway, in an interview in Russia Today, is saying that anyone who fails to support Assange will one day share the same fate, that this is an existential threat to all seekers after the truth. And he's absolutely right about that. They're going to make an example out of Assange to try and silence those of us who want to get the truth out about what the government is doing. We got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha America, welcome back to our show here. And I'm looking at the Daily Mail over in Great Britain. They're reporting on the tanker attack in the Gulf of Oman. And I'm reading the comments section. Nobody is buying that this was Iran. The comments are just absolutely excoriating that this has to be a false flag. Okay, we're going to go back to the phones here. Terry in California. Aloha, Terry. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, I'm having a little breathing problem here, but I'll be okay. I wrote my congressman, and this is not California. He's a Republican, and I told him we got to keep our hands off Venezuela. And he wrote me back. He's a freshman congressman. And he said, Dear Terry, the Maduro regime was not democratically elected. He is a dictator who has murdered and repressed his own citizens. The United States rightfully condemns former President Maduro for his atrocities. I support continued sanctions against the Maduro regime and hope to see a swift and nonviolent transition of power. With worldwide recognition of the new Venezuelan government, the U.S. must be prepared to work with our regional partners to provide food and medicine and other humanitarian aid in coordination with President Guaido. Thanks again for writing. Let me know when I can be of assistance. This letter speaks volumes about this guy. It tells me who his supporters are, who he's getting paid from. And I think, we've lost control of the Congress completely. They're doing their own thing, and they're just using this system that was set up by our fathers to their own benefit. Nothing about representing the people in their districts.
Yeah, absolutely. The war agenda has definitely been set. And, I get a lot of this, in my email as well from people who say, I've tried contacting my members of Congress and they're just in total goose step, if you will. With more wars on Venezuela and Iran and pretty much the rest of the world.
But, like you say, Mike, it's all about money. And people may not be aware, but Cheney got a golden parachute from Halliburton for $34 million. And maybe there's a little wink about what you're going to do if you get you go to a high place in the government after you leave here, instead of keeping the stock. That'd be a violation of law. He got $34 million, and then the stock on Halliburton went up 5 times during the war with Iraq.
Yes.
And and the oil companies made a fortune, the banks made a fortune, and they're looking at that again. Work once and everybody got rich at the top. So if it work once, it can work again. So let's do it again.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Every time there's a war, the people at the very top come out very well from it. During World War II, it was the so-called captains of industry. They made out like bandits in the post-war years from all that military surplus that they just grabbed. And it's a big scam, is what it is, and it's played not just on the people of the countries we've made war on. It's played on the people of the United States of America as well.
Yeah, because we're going to pay the price.
That's exactly right.
We pay taxes, or we pay in the devaluation of the dollar. Because, the money's got to come from somewhere that they're getting. It's a transfer of money that they're getting. It doesn't come out of thin air. It does, but it doesn't. It comes from us through taxes or through printing of money through the Federal Reserve to them. Either way, the people in the country, our country, pay.
Yes.
Because we got a dollar that's worth less, or we have a tax bill, one of the two. So they're stealing from us when they do stuff like this.
That's exactly right.
The false flag you talked about this morning, people are looking at the U.S. as like a little boy who cried wolf. After a while, with these things, people don't pay any attention to them. And that's what's going on now in the United States with these false flags. People aren't paying any attention to them. And they're saying, we will not be fooled again by these people,
Yeah.
and they act so naive, like all we have to do is pull this stuff off, and everybody's going to believe us again, and we'll just go ahead and do what we got to do. But I talked to a lot of people that supported the Iraqi war that realized it was the wrong thing, and they are not buying it this time. See that when they invaded Iraq, what was the outcome? They took a regime that was hostile to Iran, that was kind of keeping them in check, and they were Iran was keeping Iraq in check. Anyway, Mike, thanks, and we'll talk to you some other time.
All right, we're going to take a break here for more commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective, and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds, up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Now, German author Frieder Wagner has come out with a new book, Deadly Dust Made in the USA, and he's basically talking about the use of depleted uranium ammunition and how the United States has contaminated vast territories using this ammunition, and basically nobody wants to talk about the issue. But it is a serious problem. They used it all over Iraq, and Iraq has suffered tremendous birth defects ever since. This is uranium. What they're doing is they're taking the leftover uranium from weapons enrichment, and they're turning it into munitions because it's denser than lead. But when it's employed, it vaporizes, and the dust just blows everywhere. And it's in Iraq, it triggered an epidemic of severe birth abnormalities, not just in the people of Iraq, but among our returning veterans. And nobody wants to talk about it. This stuff is actually more harmful than the lingering landmines. And I'm glad somebody is finally starting to try and make an issue about this, because it really is an issue. This is radioactive contamination. It's radioactive waste being scattered all over the globe by the U.S. military. Alrighty, out in California, as you know, liberal utopia, vaccines are mandatory. They've stripped away moral and religious exemptions, and now they're trying to strip doctors of the authority to grant medical exemptions. The current law said that if your doctor said you shouldn't have a vaccine, you're exempt from the vaccinations. But now they're trying to take that away. And this is dealing, with parents who take their children in for scheduled vaccines, and they go into convulsions, they have seizures, and the parents are saying this is not a good thing. But now California wants to remove the ability for doctors to say this person should not have any more vaccines. So who cares if the vaccines put your kids into convulsions and seizures? It makes money. That's what it's all about. It's just unending money for the pharmaceutical industry and for the care providers who are getting kickbacks on all of this. It's all about getting more money out of you for products that are not necessarily good for you. And on that same topic, Trump has signed an executive order that will end most regulations and oversight on genetically engineered food. And basically, he called it the GMO Streamlining Act. And this executive order directs federal agencies to reduce or eliminate regulations and oversight mechanisms that might help ensure the safety of genetically engineered crops. So Trump just ordered the federal government to turn America into a massive GMO experiment where anything goes. Okay. It's all about the money. It's all about more profits for these large corporations here. Okay, Project Veritas has been suspended from Twitter for revealing Pinterest's censorship of conservatives. And apparently James O'Keefe revealed that his organization has been suspended from Twitter for tweets revealing that Pinterest's mass censorship of conservative websites and individuals on its platform. And again, we talked about this yesterday. Pinterest has located the whistleblower that was working with Project Veritas, and they have fired them. And again, if Trump doesn't do something about this, then social media is going to be nothing but liberal propaganda in next year's election. And I don't understand why he doesn't grasp this. I don't understand why Trump doesn't understand what an important role the independent media and social media played in his 2016 victory. It's like he doesn't seem to care. And it's one of the ways in which Trump has turned his back on his own base. Anyway, getting back to Project Veritas, James O'Keefe is saying this is the biggest mistake of their lives because apparently YouTube deletes videos from Project Veritas, and Twitter, of course, has, canceled their account. Social media wants to go on censoring. They don't want to be called out on it. They want you to think that what you see on social media is all that's out there, that represents the view of average Americans. They don't want you to understand it's being filtered. That's what's going on there. Okay, over in Sweden, we've talked about this before. Sweden has this plan to drastically cut emissions from transport by encouraging millions of electric cars onto the road. They've run into a problem. They don't have the power capacity for the new charging stations in major cities. So, pardon me. Sweden issued these government grants. They sent sales of electric cars surging by 253% in the first 5 months of this year. But the rally could be over because the resulting demand for electricity to charge these cars is outgrowing the capacity in the local grids. And this is forcing the new charging networks to compete with other projects from housing to subway lines to get hooked up. And as I've said before, I think electric cars are the wave of the future, but there is a missing piece to all of this, and that is a clean, safe means of generating the electricity to charge those batteries. And I think Sweden just sort of underscored that. Okay. Getting into the world of computers here, a group called Radiohead got hit by hackers who basically encrypted a bunch of music files, demanded a ransom. Radiohead refused to pay the ransom and instead donated money to a climate change group. Then they released hours of the hacked recordings for free rather than pay the ransom money to the hacker who stole them. So that's one way to deal with the problem. Took away the profit motive. The hackers can't sell the music, it's out there for free. So good for them here. Okay, if you are using Chrome, and if you are using the popular Evernote extension, there is a problem. There is a flaw that will allow hackers to hijack your browser and steal sensitive information from any website you accessed. Now, Evernote is this popular service that helps people taking notes and organize their to-do task lists, and apparently over 4 million users have been using the Evernote Web Clipper extension for Chrome browser. Now, this vulnerability resided in the ways that Evernote Web Clipper interacts with websites, iframes, and injects scripts, eventually breaking the browser's same origin policy and domain isolation mechanisms. And according to researchers, the vulnerability could allow an attacker-controlled website to execute arbitrary code on the browser in the context of other domains on behalf of users, leading to a universal cross-site scripting issue. We need to go back to simpler, more elegant, more secure code on our machines. The more complicated we make them, the easier it is to break, the easier it is to hack. Computers were a lot more fun back in the days of the VIC-20 and the Commodore 64. And yes, there was malware back then, but you could get rid of it just by power cycling the machine. Okay. Jordan Peterson, who's a defender of free speech, has launched a new online community, and it's basically a free speech platform. It's called ThinkSpot. It's billed as an intellectual playground for censorship-free discourse. So there are all these new alternatives that are coming online to basically challenge the mind control of YouTube and Facebook. So this one is called ThinkSpot. And by the way, I've been looking at MeWe, and I haven't done any posting over there, but it does look very interesting. Okay, down in the Dominican Republic, there is now a 6th U.S. tourist who has died. The FBI is investigating, and what they're thinking is going on is that somebody is spiking the beverages in the hotel room minibars, because what they're getting is a story that people will go to the minibar, they'll get a little bottle of something like scotch, they'll drink it, then they go into convulsions and they die. So maybe this is somebody trying to destroy the tourism industry in the Dominican Republic, or at least target a specific hotel and drive them out of business. But it's a good reason to basically go to a bottle shop and get your own alcohol to take back to your hotel room and not use that mini bar. But that appears to be what's going on down there. And the Dominican Republic does have a large tourism industry. They're very dependent on that tourist economy. And this is going to harm their economy. So we'll see what's happening down there. I don't know. Maybe the U.S. is going to start regime changing the Dominican Republic. Okay. Now, the United Sporting Company's Chief Executive Officer, Bradley Johnson, admitted that they supported Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election on the theory that if she was elected, the Democrats' normal hostility for guns would stimulate gun sales, which does tend to happen. Every time the Democrats get up there and start screaming gun control, firearms sales go up. But Hillary didn't win, and so United Sporting Companies has had to file for bankruptcy. And they're getting ready to liquidate. So kind of a little bit of goof there. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is still out there pushing her Green New Deal to combat global warming. And she's out there saying it's going to cost $10 trillion. And she's still out there pushing this plan, even though it's being mocked. Even the Democratic leadership is ignoring it. Now, the Democratic leadership has their own plan for tackling global warming, but it's not the Green New Deal. But she's still out there pushing that nonsense. We just had another hard winter. We're not in a period of global warming, and it's certainly not human-caused. Climate changes naturally. Okay, over in Africa, the Ebola epidemic in the Democratic Republic of the Congo has now spread to Uganda, and the World Health Organization is struggling to try and figure out how they're going to get this under control. And this is a serious strain of Ebola, 60% lethality rate. And we do need to be very concerned about how Africans from Congo and Uganda are coming here to the United States and they're not being checked. Now, I don't know what the incubation period is on this particular strain of Ebola, but in an age of jet travel, and yes, it turns out that Israel was buying a lot of these people tickets to come to the United States or to come to Mexico, it could get here very easily. And that would be a major, major problem here in the United States of America. So we have to keep an eye out for what's going on, because apparently to the open borders people, it's a small price to pay for our New World Order, one world government. So what if some people die from Ebola? I mean, it's just, it's surplus population, you know, as long as they're white people. But this is a serious problem, and I don't think anybody's talking about it because they don't know what to do about it. Okay, we got to take another break here for commercials, and we'll be right back after these few words.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And just looking at the news that's coming on in here. Still looking at those Midwestern floods. And again, it's because our infrastructure is being neglected. And as a matter of fact, they had a levee in Winfield, Missouri that basically breached, which is another word for collapsed, increasing the flooding there. Now, we had a heavy winter. We had a lot of snow. Anybody looking at that had to understand we're going to have a serious drainage problem during the spring melt. But we're too busy bombing other countries to take care of this country, and we're going to be paying for it. There's a lot of farmland in the United States that is not going to be planted this year at all. And that means there's going to be food shortages and price increases. It's already starting. Claire and I went to the Safeway just the other day and had a bad case of sticker shock. That's bad planning on the part of the government. Apparently over in Germany they had a major hailstorm, just gigantic chunks of ice falling out of the sky, breaking car windshields, windows, damaging homes. Anyway, back in 2008, ABC had a special on human-caused global warming, and they had all these predictions, none of which came true. And it's amazing, even though all these predictions have failed miserably, the global warming cultists are still out there saying anyone who dares question human-caused global warming is a climate denier. Oh, you're a climate denier. You know, the data is crystal clear. The scientists all agree the world is getting warmer, and it's the fault of you human beings. So, the reality is that much of climate here on Earth is controlled by the sun and solar output. And we already know there's the 11-year solar cycle, there's the 22-year magnetic cycle, and scientists are now pretty much convinced that there are additional solar cycles. More about this when we come back from station identification.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're talking about solar cycles and climate. And new research is indicating that the 11-year solar cycle may actually be influenced by the planets. And the new research is showing that Venus, Earth, and Jupiter assert a small gravitational tug on the sun. And basically, the result is comparable to the way the moon's gravity influences Earth tides. And this team basically traced back 1,000 years of solar cycles and compared the data against the movement of the planets, and they found a very strong link. So there's a new bit of information there. Okay, the phone lines are loaded up. Let's start taking phone calls. Glenn in Philadelphia. Aloha, Glenn. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I'm sorry. This is a different topic than the solar cycle, so if you need me to bag it, that's okay.
No, that's
but
okay.
I was calling about military preparedness and all this stuff going on supposedly with Iran and these tankers and stuff like that. And when I heard about this, the first thing I thought was false flag. You know, I know Israel still definitely has a lot of those German-made Dolphin submarines that would be quite capable of launching torpedoes and being fairly stealthy and small. And then the U.S. Navy rushes in to save the day and rescue the crews. So so whether or not that this is a false flag remains to be seen. It's just very ironic that Shinzo Abe was consulting with Khomeini right at the very time that all happened.
Yes.
So very odd. But if this were so if we were to get involved in some sort of military conflict, I don't know about you, but everything I've been hearing for a very long time indicates that our military has severe preparedness issues.
Yes.
That the morale and discipline of the infantry forces is very low. The air, like in terms of air superiority, we're not what we once were. Of the 11 or so aircraft carrier squadrons that we have, only 2 or 3 of them are ever at sea at any one given time. And for those that are at sea, there are supposed to be huge parts problems for the F-18 Super Hornets and aircraft parts problems in general. The F-35 is a lame duck in many ways. It was used for a ground attack recently, and they splashed that all over. I think it was used in Iraq, of all places, for some dissident group or terrorist group or something. And every time they send that thing out, they have to provide air cover with F-22s, which have their problems, and it's always like a media event. Well, any real attacks that got done, like if there were real conflicts, they'd have to fall back to the F-15s, the F-18s, and the F-16s. And now it sounds like for the future, it sounds like they're not even going to finish out the F-35 the way it was supposedly on the drawing board, and everybody's looking to the new F-15X model.
Yes.
Seems to be where everything's going for the future. So I don't know. I mean, we're for years we heard that we were always last superpower. Well, I don't know. For a superpower, we seem to it seems like we have a lot of problems. I'm not sure we're really war ready or not.
There are a lot of people who would agree with you, even within the Pentagon itself, that our weapons don't work very well. They're hideously expensive, and all wars ultimately become wars of attrition. The first country to run out of money loses, and you're right about the laundry list of problems with the F-35. The F-22 still has its issues. If we fall back to the F-15s, 16s, and 18s, of course, they're not radar stealthy. They can be taken down by the S-300. And so, a war against Iran would have to be an air war. We literally don't have the forces to cross that border from Iraq into Iran and fight a ground war across that huge territory.
Right. And like with this missile conflict going on with Israel right now and Palestine and Syria and all that, they're using the Iron Dome to shoot at these missiles. Every one of the Iron Dome missiles costs many, 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 many times the price of the types of missiles that they're taking out.
Yes.
They're taking out these little, very inexpensive missiles, and they're using really, really, really expensive Iron Dome missiles to take them down. And I believe we supply a lot of that stuff for those missiles. So, I mean, the missile factories must just be cranking up to three shifts a day now that crank out missiles.
And the Iron Dome, more often than not, misses the Palestinian rockets because the Palestinian rockets are not stabilized. They're not guided. They tend to corkscrew as they fly, and that makes them almost impossible to hit.
Shades of Desert Storm when the Patriot missiles would take out the engines on the incoming Scud missiles, but the warheads would still fall and detonate.
Yep.
Patriot's been improved, and then they have THAAD. But even in the missile department, things aren't what they should be. So I don't think it's necessarily a great idea for us to be going around saber rattling. This is not Teddy Roosevelt and the Great White Fleet going around intimidating everybody at will. It doesn't work that way now.
No, it really doesn't. If anything, the quagmires that the United States is still mired in all over the Middle East, I think is telling the rest of the world that our military is not invincible, that they're not effective, that in fact opposing forces with smaller weapons can hold us at bay.
We haven't seen state-of-the-art equipment going up against state-of-the-art equipment since the Falklands War, when you had Mirage fighters going against British Harriers and other stuff like Tornadoes and stuff like that. And if we ever see, they talk about engaging China or Russia, then that's a recipe for a disaster with regard to these new missiles that can actually hit the aircraft carriers. There's not the Phalanx Gatling gun system cannot take out the new missiles.
Yep.
Directed energy weapons can't take them out. We don't have anything to stop these modern missiles if it ever comes to engaging a competent enemy on the seas. So anyway, all right, that's all I wanted to say. But I mean, I just don't think it's a good time for us to be saber rattling.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. I mean, after 18 years of war, the country is worn out. The people are war weary, as you said it yourself. The morale and discipline in our armed forces is at an all-time low. These recent incidents with ships out here in the Pacific are showing that the crews are not being properly trained. Right. We're kind of at the end.
And then there's the brain drain that Obama caused by getting rid of more than a couple hundred conservatively inclined, officers. That was a huge brain drain. So, anyway, all right, that's all I had to say. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot, Glenn. We're going to let you go and switch over to Mark in Montana. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to kind of address the electric car issue and why I will probably never switch. I'm on a trip right now. I'm going from the Mexican border, pretty close to the Canadian border, because that's where I live. And I've got my F-250 3/4 ton pickup. I've got my 2 puppies with me, and I got pretty much everything I own in the back. It's about a 1,600-mile trip. I looked at the Tesla pickup because I'm kind of intrigued by it. It's 400 miles on one charge.
Yeah.
I'm driving straight through. It's just, I sometimes pull a trailer, with horses. I sometimes, have a load of lumber in here, hauling it out to the ranch. And I don't see anything like that ever being practical for me. Unless they can get that single charge up to maybe 1,500 miles, it's not for me. And it's not going to be for a lot of people that are ranchers out here in flyover country. Not only that, the batteries on them suck. When it gets 40 below zero, they tend to not work real well.
Yeah.
And we do have significant amounts of cold weather in Montana in the wintertime. And so, like today with my puppies, when I stop to eat, I leave the truck running, I can pull the key out of the ignition while I leave the truck running so that they got some air conditioning going on. Something like that, I just don't see where it would, unless they really do some major improvements, I can't see where it would ever work for me.
Well, your situation, I think, is rather atypical compared to the vast majority of the American people. I mean, in the case of Claire and I, we have this little tiny sedan that we drive down to the supermarket and back. And, for us, an electric car would work just fine. I don't know what's going to happen after we move to Indiana. But I think for the vast majority of Americans, urban dwellers, that an electric car would probably work very well.
Right. And, I understand that I'm not a typical driver in that I'm a ranch, and I work on a ranch when I'm off work, and I work in the oil field when I'm on work. And I understand that not everybody, goes out to oil rigs, and there were some days in the oil patch I would drive 300 miles one way to get to a rig, and then have to spend the day, working around the equipment and never shutting the vehicle off, because you got to keep the air conditioning going, because as a safety guy, it has to be cool. I have to have somewhere to put them in if I get somebody dropping out on me. And then at the end of the day, drive my 300 miles back. And I know that's not typical, but in my world, it is typical. In the world of people that work in the oil field and work in the ranching industry, something like that will never be practical. I think what would be a little more practical is something like what these little Civics or these little hatchback multi-fuel deals where they've got a little tiny engine in them that burns gasoline and generates electricity to keep the batteries charged. That may be a little more practical.
You mean a hybrid?
Pure solar having to stop. I'm sorry? Like a hybrid.
A hybrid.
Yeah. Exactly, a hybrid. But these ones where you've got to stop and charge, I kind of, just out of curiosity today, as I had to pull in and gas up quite a bit because I get 9 miles a gallon with my truck. And I checked and I found one gas station. It was a come and go in Denver, on the outskirts of Denver, that had a charging station. And I'm not even sure how it operated because I couldn't figure out, there was no price on it. I don't know if it was free or, I don't know. I have no idea how you plugged them in and worked it. But, the Teslas that I've been around, I used to drive Uber, and I picked up Tesla drivers before. And the one Tesla driver I picked up, I kind of grilled him on it. He said that it took 4 hours to charge his Tesla up.
Yeah.
So, and then he got basically 250 miles, give or take, out of it. For I don't see where that's even practical out here in rural Montana.
Well, they're improving the battery technology, and I think we had a story last week about a new battery development coming out of Europe that is going to have a higher energy density and a faster charge cycle as well. I'm not saying that there isn't room for improvement in the electric car concept, but I really do think that for the vast majority of ordinary people living in an urban or even a suburban area, that it's going to be the wave of the future. Obviously, in your situation, a gasoline-powered truck is what makes sense for you.
Yeah, and I have to laugh at the Prius drivers because we had a lot of them invade us from California up in Montana, and in the wintertime, they get nothing out of those Priuses. They're so heavy that they don't float real well on the slush, and the batteries, it's just like any other battery, at 30 and 40 below, the chemical reaction to release the energy just isn't there. You need it warmer, and at 60 below, just forget about it. That Prius is sitting there. I'm not even sure how they generate heat to keep the inside of the cab warm.
Well, never having driven a Prius, I don't really know. I imagine there's probably an electric heater of some kind in there, or they're taking heat from, the engine itself. And like I said, I'm not saying that there aren't issues to be worked out with the cars, but again, look at what happened. How long did it take from when Mercedes first came out with an automobile to basically get it to where it is today?
Right, and maybe something along the lines of a small diesel engine that had an electrical generator attached to it, kind of like a big locomotive. They're all, I don't know if you know that, but those big locomotives that haul coal out of Montana, they're all electric.
Yes.
They have a diesel generator that's running an electrical turbine. Maybe something along that line would be the way to go, because diesel is very, very efficient. But I'm looking at that Tesla. I'm intrigued by it, but it just doesn't have the capacity of what I need. I don't think it would pull a horse trailer with 6 horses in it.
No, it's not designed for that.
Right, and this V10 will, and that's the thing. I want to be be able to do as much stuff with it as possible.
Well, again, your particular situation, I think, is rather unique compared to most people living in an urban or suburban environment. I know that for my wife and I, an electric car would make sense, and after our Honda got stolen and we were shopping for a new car, we did look at some electrics. We simply couldn't afford them, or I probably would have gotten one.
Right. So I have a question for you. Did you ever get your car back?
Yeah, it was completely stripped, and the insurance company declared it a total loss.
And why Indiana? Just out of curiosity.
Got family back there, 2 of whom are medical professionals, and they're being very generous in helping us with the move.
That's very understandable. I was just going to say for tax reasons, there's other places that that are better economically, lower taxes and stuff. And of course, Montana's one of them, but Montana's a beautiful place. I'm a little prejudiced.
Well, we might hop over the border into Tennessee. I've been told that Tennessee's taxes are a lot lower, and some of our families down there as well. I mean, we're basically looking at the very southern part of Indiana, right next to the border, so we could be over the border and still within range of our family.
Well, if you ever get out to Montana, you'd let me know, and steak and a beer's on me.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Michael. You have a great evening and enjoy your upcoming weekend.
All right. Thanks an awful lot here. And we're going to do shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network. Back to the phones to Jim in New York. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Jim actually dropped, Mike.
Jim has dropped. Okay. Well, just be that way. Okay, and there we are. Okay. Over at the Vatican, as you know, there's been a lot of talk about dealing with clerical sexual abuse, and so far that seems to be it, a lot of talk. And apparently, the former Vatican ambassador to the United States was interviewed by the Washington Post. Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano said that there's unfortunately a gay mafia among church leadership that is blocking attempts to address clerical sexual abuse. And he said that the abuse would be far less severe if the problem of homosexuality in the priesthood were honestly acknowledged and properly addressed. And he said that there's apparently what he calls a gay mafia among the bishops. They're seeking to protect themselves, and they're sabotaging all efforts at reform. Okay, we're coming up here on another commercial break, and we'll be right back after these few words.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations. A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And out in California, in Fontana, they're having a quake swarm. It started May 25th, ranging from magnitude 0.7 to magnitude 3.2. Now, these are small quakes. 3.2 can just barely be felt, but it is a lot of earthquakes. And according to one seismologist, this is the most prolific swarm to hit the area in the past 30 years. And even though the official word is there's nothing to worry about, seismologists are saying people ought to be concerned. The likelihood of a larger seismic event, given so many quakes over such a period, is higher than normal. And they're saying it doesn't guarantee that a major quake is going to happen, but obviously something is going on. Now, what's really interesting, over by the La Brea tar pits, tar is now bubbling up through cracks in the streets around the tar pits. And that is obviously something to be concerned about. And so you have this usual thing about, everything is okay, not to worry about. But again, they do get quakes out in California. And the idea that there is tar actually coming up through the streets around the La Brea tar pits, that's something that just hasn't happened before. Certainly not while I lived there. I mean, the tar pits were the tar pits, and there's a lot of tar in them, but it wasn't like coming up through the neighboring streets. Okay. Getting on back to some of our corporate media censorship, YouTube has banned commentator Black Pigeon. They have 500,000 subscribers. No strikes against them. YouTube just banned them anyway. We mentioned earlier in the show, YouTube has censored Project Veritas video exposing Pinterest's anti-conservative censorship. So there does need to be something done about that. If Trump doesn't fix this problem, it's going to work against him in 2020. Okay, I'm looking at an article here from Information Liberation about none dare call it an invasion. They're talking about the illegal immigrants. And according to this article, over 550 migrants from Africa were caught in just 1 week and released throughout the country. None of them were screened for Ebola. That is very reckless and very, very dangerous. Up in Chicago, police apparently tortured some of their victims with electric shocks, burns, and beatings. This country's just going crazy. It really, really is. Okay, I'm looking at this article talking about the flooding and talking about the foods that are going to be in short supply. And it's not just agricultural produce. Apparently in Nebraska and Iowa, cattle and hogs literally drowned in the floodwaters. Their feed supply has been lost. And they're saying these are the foods that are going to be impacted by the floods: wheat, corn, soybeans, hay, alfalfa, oats, beef, dairy, pork, chicken, and eggs. And part of the problem, of course, is that the grains aren't just fed to humans, they're used in livestock feed. So the price of hay has already tripled for horse and livestock owners. Hay bales that usually cost $40 are now $150. So this is going to get very serious. Corn, of course, is used for corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup, which is used in everything from granola bars to breakfast cereals to deli meats. Corn is added as a fuel, ethanol to our fuel. Wheat, cornstarch, and modified cornstarch are added as thickening agents to nearly every sauce. So Our modern food supply is largely dependent upon grains and soy. If you have a large chest freezer, now's the time to stock it up. Now's the time to have some food stockpiles. Now's the time to basically be a prepper, because there will be shortages. All right, we got to take another break for commercials. Join us on the air, 800-313-9443. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We've got callers on the line, so let's start with Jeff in Michigan. Aloha, Jeff. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, yeah, I'd like to know why is like politically incorrect, or or whatever to stop the people that are coming across the border, attaching themselves to our livelihoods to bleed us of money to take care of them.
Well, I guess there really isn't an argument why we should be allowing this to happen. So all the open borders people can do is shout names at us like we're being racist, and claim that everybody has a right to come to this country, which they don't. That's not the way the laws are written. But again, it's part of that whole New World Order globalist agenda to try and blur all of the different cultures together into one. And it's not going very well because these alien cultures are refusing to assimilate both here in the United States and in Europe.
Yeah, so what do you think Americans should do when these people are latching onto our neck and draining us of our lifeblood to take care of them when they have no right to be here?
I think Americans need to speak out about it and not be deterred by cries of racist and political correctness. It's time for us.
Representatives don't listen to us.
Well, we have to tell our fellow Americans. We have to basically let our fellow Americans know how we feel, because they probably feel exactly the same way, but they're being cowed into being silent, by all this political correct talk. But it's definitely time for us to start speaking out and saying this has to be fixed.
So basically, we're being forced into involuntary servitude to take care of these people that the government can't or refuses to stop from coming in here. That's slavery.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Okay, well, Mike, thank you very much for letting me express that. And hopefully other people will hear that and, stand up against it, because that's what it is. It's slavery. They're forcing us to take care of these people. It's not our fault that their government is corrupt and made life unlivable for them in their home countries. That's not our problem.
Well, life is becoming pretty much unlivable in much of this country as well.
Yeah, I agree, and thank God I'm at about the end of my line here, and I'll be getting out of here. I'm about close to your age, a little younger, but I'm about tired of it. I'm tired of taking care of all these people that will not work. I worked all my life since I was 15, and I'm sick to death of all these people feeding on me.
I absolutely agree. But people have got to start making a lot of noise about it. We have to be just as vocal as the liberals are when they're out there pushing their agenda, and we have to stand up to them and say, no, America for the Americans.
Yeah, well, it's more than that, Mike. It's more than talking. It's like about taking action. And I know you're against it and for all the legalities that are involved in it, but that's what it is. It needs action. We need action. And, if a lot of people got to die, too bad, because I'm sick of it. They're taking my life from me. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you very much for the phone call, Jeff. We're going to let you go and switch over to Jim in New York. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Very interesting caller, the previous caller, but there'll never be any action. I think the elite, if you will, their plan is working. I think most people our age are just going to slowly die off, and they'll die off and they'll be replaced. And but I was going to call, you mentioned an Alexandria Cortez. She's entertaining and funny, but she's nothing to worry about. Even her own party dismisses her as a nutcase.
Yeah, but they're now talking about her going after one of the Senate seats in New York.
Yeah, but to me, she's I don't worry about her. She's very entertaining, but she has no power. The people we should be worried about, and I may have said this, is the neocons surrounding the Trump administration.
Yes.
They're the danger. Pence, Kushner, and I'm very disappointed with a lot of the alt-right sites. Now, Alex Jones, 15 years ago, he was great. He woke me up to 9/11. I'm not going to totally trash him. I give him a lot of credit. 15 years ago, he was fantastic. But he's gone full neocon. And he has an article today that says exclusive. Iran admits to bombing ships, vows more terror attacks. Quote, evidence points to Iran as perpetrators behind the attack on the oil tanker. So he's gone full neocon. Alex is entertaining, but anyone listening to him, you may as well be watching Fox News because he's gone. He's totally went full neocon.
He actually has an article saying that Iran has admitted to the attacks on the tankers. It's disappointing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, 15 years ago, I loved Alex Jones, and I give credit where credit is due, but look it up, InfoWars today. It's shocking. One of his former employees has a great site, Kurt Nimmo.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, he has an article today. Pompeo speaks as alt-right media parrots war propaganda. So he is one of the best sites after you, of course, as Kurt Nimmo, and he is just fantastic. But the alt-right, boy, they've been co-opted. I'd say at least half of the alt-right have been co-opted by the neocons, and they're asleep. They're obsessing over Alexandria Cortez and Sharia law. Like that's a danger? I mean, give me a break. And meanwhile, you have Bolton, Pence, Kushner, and these dangerous neocons surrounding President Trump. And people got to wake up. They really are. And a lot of the alt-right are they may as well just watch Fox News. I wonder what they'll do if we, God forbid, do go to war with Iran. Will they support it? The alt-right people. Will they support
I guess they will. I mean, it sounds like, as you say, a lot of them have been co-opted, and they've become corrupted by their donors, by the money. And yeah, it's a problem.
So, people gotta put the same scrutiny that they would have on Hillary as they would on Trump. The alt-right people, they've go back to sleep. Trump's president, Hillary lost, ding dong, the witch is dead, and thank God, but Trump's the president, and he's surrounded by dangerous neocons, and people have to wake up to that fact.
Yeah, I think people are waking up to that fact here. And again, as I said, looking at the foreign press regarding this attack on the tankers, reading the comments section, nobody's buying that Iran had anything to do with this.
I hope not. people, to me, and the co-opted media, Fox News, to me, and the neocons, they're enemy number one. They're the most dangerous. Cortez, Ilhan Omar. To me, I don't see them as an imminent threat. I see them as, kooky and without any power, except to rally Middle America against them and, quote, liberals. The liberals, and I use that as a broad term. Did you ever listen to Jimmy Dore?
Yes.
He has a weekly podcast once a week, and I tell you, he's a progressive liberal, and I agree. When it comes to the war, he hits it out of the park. So not all, quote, liberals are these bad people. Jimmy Dore, when it comes to the issue of war, he's great. And, you shouldn't, and the alt-right does that too. They dismiss liberals. Oh, they're liberals. This guy's fantastic. It's a once-a-week show, and except for your show, of course, Jimmy Dore and Kurt Nimmo are excellent places to get good information. And I encourage people to listen to that.
Okay. Anything else, Jim?
I just warn people, stay vigilant and keep the same scrutiny. The alt-right people out there who are still having, quote, hope in Trump, to just stay vigilant. He's surrounded by neocons. I don't know where the president's heart is. I don't know the man. But it's not looking good. And,
no, I've lost all trust in Trump. I don't have hope that he's going to change. If he was actually going to affect anything, it would have happened long before now. But we still don't have safe vaccines. We don't have honest elections. The border is still wide open, and we're still mired in all these wars.
And just because the people, the liberals you hate, and I hate CNN, I hate the mainstream liberals, that doesn't mean the Trump administration's good. Because you're being attacked by these vile, liberal, warmonger, neoliberals. That doesn't mean the Trump administration is good. See? So, I encourage people to just stay very vigilant under Trump, just as you would under Hillary. On that note, thanks for taking my call. Have a great show.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Jim. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open again, 800-313-9443. Okay. Now, coincident with this attack on these two tankers, Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is in Tehran, and he's on this high-level mission, if you will, to basically try and reduce the tensions in the region. He's trying to de-escalate the crisis as Tehran looks like they're going to break out of the 2015 nuclear deal. It's also the first visit of a sitting Japanese prime minister in the 40 years since the Islamic Revolution back in 1979. So again, he's warning about the possibility of an accidental conflict that could be sparked. Well, conflicts tend not to be accidental. Usually one side or the other wants it to happen. And in the context that we're looking at what is obviously another one of these false flag attacks, it looks like the U.S. wants to get this thing going for real here. And Abe is trying to basically calm things down, which is, again, the fact that he's in Tehran. It doesn't make any sense that Iran would attack these two tankers, one of which is owned by Japan, the other one of which apparently was carrying cargo to Japan. So they're both Japan linked. And to me, this is just so obvious and heavy-handed. And I remember earlier when those 4 tankers got hit with those limpet mines, and it didn't get a lot of press coverage. And the reason it didn't is because the journalists got the briefing from the White House saying, oh, it's Iran, it's Iran, it's Iran, and there was no proof to back it up. And the same thing is true today. There is no evidence to indicate who actually carried out this attack. There's just a lot of speculation. But Pompeo is out there saying it was Iran. Oh, yes, it was Iran. It had to be Iran. Couldn't be anybody else. And that the threat from Iran is not over, that Iran is going to target more tankers in the Straits of Hormuz. And again, it doesn't make any sense. I think if Iran were really going to try and close the Straits of Hormuz, they would have used a much more potent weapon and actually sank one of the tankers. But in this case, as the last case, they're damaged, but still usable. This is a false flag. Nobody's buying this. I'm not buying it. I'm surprised that Alex Jones is buying it. But to me, it's very obvious. This is just too coincidental. The U.S. wants a war with Iran, and so we have this convenient attack. Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break on today's show. Back with our last segment after these few words.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Last segment of our program today here. And basically recapping on this story about two Japan-linked tankers being attacked in the Gulf of Oman. And of course, Mike Pompeo was already out there saying, oh yes, we believe it was Iran. And he's just laying on the propaganda with a trowel, saying that Tehran wants to end successful maximum pressure campaign of Washington sanctions. And Pompeo said this is only the latest in a series of attacks instigated by the Republic of Iran and its surrogates against American allies and interests. They should be understood in the context of 4 years of unprovoked aggression against freedom-loving nations. And again, nothing to back up any of this stuff. And after all these years of deceptions, of studying deceptions, whether it was the Gulf of Tonkin, the explosion of the USS Maine, the Lusitania, Pearl Harbor, Saddam's nukes, Assad's sarin gas, we should all be very, very skeptical. And as I said before, looking at, I think it was The Guardian I went to, where looking at the comments section, nobody's buying this. Nobody is believing that Iran had anything to do with this, and for one very good reason. What would Iran have to gain from this? And that is nothing. Who wants the war? The United States and Israel. I mean, if you look at how much pressure the U.S. has put on Iran, even after the P5+1 deal, they ramped up the sanctions, even though the P5+1 deal said the sanctions were supposed to come off. And Congress just went on and said, oh, more sanctions, more sanctions. And Trump pulls out of the P5+1 agreement, more sanctions. It's economic war directed against Iran. And Iran, in my opinion, has showed tremendous restraint in not fighting back. They're trying to blame Iran for the fact that the U.S. has not made significant gains inside Syria. Whatever happens, oh, it's Iran. The Houthis shot a cruise missile at that airport in Saudi Arabia. Oh, Iran was behind that. And I think it's encouraging that people are realizing just how much they are being lied to by governments and the corporate media. And that they're not buying this. They're not believing this. And they shouldn't believe it. Again, who benefits from these attacks on the tankers? Not Iran. It opens the door to an attack by the United States. And that's why I think it was a false flag. Who actually did it? I don't know. We've had a couple of callers who refer to those Israeli Dolphin-class submarines. They're diesel-electric. They're very quiet. Israel is known to have been sailing them down through the Suez Canal to get to the Gulf. Okay, there's the music. Time for me to get on out of here. Please stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please take what you learn here, share it with everybody that you know, especially how obvious this latest false flag is. Okay? Thanks an awful lot. Please donate to Republic Broadcasting. Please donate to whatreallyhappened.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.